raw card has the potential to be a PSA 10. A PSA 9 is already a PSA 9. There's no mystery. The trend seems to be that raws are going to end up selling for a bit more than a PSA 9, which is really funny. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about grading and why I think you should slow down on how often you are grading your cards. Let's check this out. If you look at some of the grading numbers over the past few months have been the largest number of cards getting graded ever. PSA is grading like 1 million cards a month now. This is crazy. The fact that the sports card market has been slowing down, the fact that the gap between a PSA 9 and a raw has become almost non-existent for modern, ultra-modern cards, makes it so that I have a feeling the vast majority of the people grading their cards are actually losing money by grading their cards. If you're spending $20, $25, whatever it is, you have to be able to sell that card for at least that much more than it would be raw just to break even. But so frequently, it used to be the case that people would kind of think of like a PSA 8. I'm just talking modern cards, ultra modern cards here. I'm not talking vintage. Vintage is a different situation. But for ultra modern cards, people used to kind of think of a PSA 8 and a raw as equivalent in value. And a PSA 9 would have a little bit more of a value. And then a PSA 10 was kind of the one that was a little bit more rare and would have the higher value. And so people were grading, and they were kind of in the mindset that if they got a PSA 8, maybe they'd lose a tiny bit of money. PSA 9, they'd make a bit of money. And PSA 10, they'd make a lot more money. That was kind of the approach, but it's changing. Nowadays, a PSA 9 and a raw card in many, many, many circumstances are the same value. At this stage, when I look at things, most often for ultra modern cards, a PSA 9 is not going to make you the money that you paid for it, unless it's a rare card or if it's a card that's really difficult to keep in good condition. But for your average, base rookie card or silver rookie card or something like that, it seems like the gap between the raw and the PSA 9 is so minimal that very often you're going to be losing money on that. You can still make money on the PSA 10. So if you are very good at analyzing your card and you have a very high percentage that are going to be able to get a PSA 10, maybe you can still make some wise decisions. But it's a little bit hard when there's a certain level of arbitrariness. Is that a word? But there's a certain level of arbitrariness. I can't think of another word to say. Arbitrariness with the grading. And you can see, was it on Neo's channel where he shared, he had gotten a PSA 6, he cracked the slab, sent it in and got a PSA 10. Crazy. You could look at a card and you can't find a single flaw in it. It looks perfectly centered. You have a little loop or whatever. You have a little like grading scale thing to check the 50-50 balance of the up and down and left and right. And you could do all of that and still end up with a PSA 8, PSA 9 and not know why. It happens a lot. So, people do get better at recognizing what is more likely to get a PSA 10. And there is, the chances might be better if you have that knowledge. You can't guarantee it no matter how good you are, but you can get better and better at that. But at the same time, if a PSA 9 is, actually going to be losing a bit of money in comparison to the raw when you factor in the price you paid for grading, then, you really have to be confident in your skills to be able to recognize a PSA 10. And I feel like, people need to be a little bit more thoughtful about the types of cards they're sending in. With that many cards getting graded, I've been buying up cards like on the ComC auctions. I've been buying up graded cards for sometimes 99 cents for like a PSA 9s of a rookie card parallel. And this is common now. A lot of the, the base rookie cards of like a DeAndre Hunter that people graded a long time ago, the PSA 9s will sell for 99 cents now. It used to be the case, not even that long ago, I feel like if somebody saw like, I think Burbank Sports Cards might have like $5 slab boxes at their sports card shop where you can go and there's all these slabs that are $5, boxes and boxes of $5 slabs. And I think a year ago, I would have looked at something like that and be like, whoa, like I would buy almost anything in there. Like a $5 slab, that, if I can find a PSA 9, a PSA 10, it's $5, like I'd buy almost anything. I'm in a different mindset now because I feel like maybe at 99 cents, if it's a PSA 9 and if it's a rookie and if it's a parallel, then maybe almost anybody I would do it if it's like 99 cents. But if it was like a base rookie, from Optic of DeAndre Hunter that wasn't a parallel as a PSA 9, I might not even buy it for 99 cents. And I think a lot of other people are in that same kind of mindset now, where even a $5 slab box that used to seem like such a good deal has a lot of stuff in there that's not really that good of a deal anymore. So I think this is to me, this just says, okay, slow down on your grading. Like, first, be more picky. What is the card that you're actually sending in? What is the PSA 9 going for? What is the PSA 10 going for? You know, what is the possibilities of that card on down the road a bit? Because grading's going to take a long time. Is this really going to be a card? You know, just expect the market to continue to come down, even if it comes back a PSA 10. A lot of times people won't be able to sell their PSA 10 for the price that they spent on grading. And sometimes they were really good players. I got some PSA 10 rookie parallels of, like, you know, RJ Barrett, Keldon Johnson, players who are still pretty good and have some movement in the market. And I was getting PSA 10 rookie parallel cards of these guys for less than $5. And those are good players. Those aren't end of the bench players. Those are starters. Those are players who are on, you know, teams that are in the media. There's narratives on ESPN about these kinds of players. Like, they're solid players. They're in the upper 25% of the league kind of thing. And I'm still getting their PSA 10 rookie parallels for $5. People are losing money left and right, I think. Slow down. Be picky. Choose cards that, even if they came down in value pretty significantly, would still be wise for you to have that as a graded card. Now, I'm saying this in the context of you trying to make money with sports cards. If you want to grade the card for your own collection, you do something with PSA's registry system and you just want it for yourself, or you want it protected for your future, whatever, that's fine. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not here to judge people who are making decisions like that for their own personal collection. I personally prefer my personal collection to be raw cards, to be honest. When I go through my cards, I am so picky that I've been waiting for the longest time to just collect 20 cards that I want to send off to get grading. I don't know how long I've been collecting these cards now. Put them in a special box and be like, okay, this one I'm going to send to get graded. This one I'm going to send to get graded. And so many cards in there have been sitting in there for such a long time now, because I'm like, I want to get 20. It's taking me a long time to find 20 cards that I want to send to get graded, just because, you know, when I analyze each of the different cards, I get a card, I see, okay, raw, this one, you know, I won't even really consider it unless it's a card that raw would sell for at least like $50. But when I get this, I'll look at this, I'll see, okay, what is it going for as a PSA 8? What is it going for as a PSA 9? What is it going for as a PSA 10? You know, and I would only consider sending it in if I'm still making money on a PSA 9. And then also on a PSA 10, I have to also see that, okay, you know, this one is actually, it gets PSA 10 a decent amount, you know, so I think that I have a good chance at a PSA 10. I analyze it closely. And I'm very, because I don't send cards in to get graded that much, I don't have a really good ability to analyze whether it's going to get a PSA 10. But if I really think it has a good shot based on my look, I do have a loop. I bought a cheap loop just to be able to, like, analyze really, really closely and try to see the corners and the edges and surface scratches, and trying my best. But I'm not very good at this or anything at this point because I haven't done it much. But I would only consider sending in a card if the value proposition PSA 10 was high, and if it was a PSA 9, it was still making some sort of profit. If it's that context, then I'm like, okay, this one I can put in the pile to grade. But there's actually not that many cards that have that kind of context. I think a lot of people are grading almost anything. They're like, okay, this looks nice, you know, and they're supported to do that by a lot of the big name YouTubers. I love sports card nonsense, but the fact that Mike is constantly telling people to try to grade their way out of their box, you know, that they buy so that they can break even on what they've ripped on their wax, I don't think that works very well. I mean, somehow it's working for him. I think part of it might be that he's getting a lot of discounts because they're a sponsorship with that SGC, but I think it's really hard. You can't go grade yourself out of base rookie cards. You can't grade yourself out of unnumbered parallels. You can't grade yourself out of parallels that are really not that sought, or that even if they're numbered out of 199, but if they're one of 60 different parallels that are all numbered out of something, like, you can't grade yourself out of those cards because there's not enough demand, you know, even of the graded card. And I feel like as the market is getting saturated with more and more low-end slabs, you know, it's only going to make matters worse for a lot of these PSA 9s over time. In some video I was watching, somebody was talking like a raw card has the potential to be a PSA 10. A PSA 9 is already a PSA 9. There's no mystery. There's no anything. So the trend seems to be that raws are going to end up selling for a bit more than a PSA 9, which is really funny. That wasn't the case not very long ago. You know, just a year ago, that wasn't the case even. I feel like there's so many cards that are getting graded that is shifting more and more in that direction. And with 1 million cards being graded by PSA every single month, plus, you know, you have SGC, CGC, and BGS, all these other ones, it's only going to go more in that direction, you know, because there's so many of these PSA 9s that they're really, they don't have any premium over a raw at all, and there's no mystery of the possibility of a PSA 10. And that seems to be the thing that's gonna drive the market value currently more than the PSA 9, is the possibility of a PSA 10. So raws might end up genuinely going for more than PSA 9s for the majority of cards. It seems very possible that that's where it's going. So because of that, like, I feel like we need to really slow down on our grading. It's up to you, of course. I'm not like forcing anything on anybody. I just think it's crazy, the amount of grading that's happening. It's crazy. So anyway, I hope this video was interesting to you. Anything else I want to say? Can't think of anything else I want to say. So that's it for this video. Check you in the next one. Peace.